Join Lori Moore as she disconnects from technology and reconnects with the hands-on projects she loves. She might just inspire you to spend more time offline too.
Hey, it's Lori, and on this weekend's edition of More Time Offline, I am going to show you a project that will blow your mind. I was very skeptical of this one. It is using chalk paint to give an old upholstered piece of furniture a fresh new look. I am using this old office chair, and the first thing that you need to do is just wipe it down, use a lint brush, or you can use tape to get any of the particles, dust, little pills off of it so it has a nice clean surface. And you're going to need a spray bottle with water. You're going to need a brush. I have this round one. These are designed for chalk paint and they work great when you work in the circular motion. A very fine sanding block or piece of sandpaper. And I just have a tray to pour my paint into, and that's about it. Step one, after you get it all cleaned, you are going to just take the tape and tape off. The spray bottle is a very important part of this process. You always want to work with a wet surface. So just spray down your surface so the fabric is wet. You can work in sections if you want. This is pretty small, so I should be able to get it all wet and be able to work with it. I'll do the back separate. And then you want to keep your brush wet. I pour a little bit of water into the pan. When I dip my brush into the paint, I then dip it into the water. It makes it easier to work with. So load up your brush, dip it in the water, and then you're going to just start working in a circular motion. And I assure you, this will not come off on your rear end. So just keep dabbing your brush, putting it in the water. Okay, so the first coat is done. I'm going to let it dry. This was a bright blue chair, so I went with a darker color because it will take multiple coats to cover if you try to go over something dark with a light color. So keep that in mind when you're selecting your color. And the paint does pick up some of the color from the original piece. So you'll notice that this, I chose a dark gray and it has a bit of a bluish gray tint to it. So just some things to keep in mind as you are selecting your paint. The first coat is done and it has dried, and I am going to take a fine grit sanding block and just give this a light sand. This makes it really smooth to the touch, so it doesn't feel crunchy at all. I decided to go with one coat of paint because the color I chose did a great job of covering the fabric. If you need multiple coats, just remember to let it dry 24 hours between applications, and it's just repeating the same process. There's a little bit of debate over whether or not to use a wax coat and seal it. It does need to be heat set. So you could take this and put it out in the sun on a hot day and just let it sit outside in the sun. Or you could, depending on the type of furniture, take a hot iron and just iron the fabric. If you do that, it does not need to have a wax coat put on. The wax coat will give it extra durability, so that's up to you. I hope I've inspired you to spend a little more time offline this weekend. And I was mind blown. I totally expected this to be a fail. I never thought painting upholstery would actually come out halfway decent, and it looks great.